Whoa, whoa, whoa. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. How are we doing? Can still hear the music a little bit. What's going on, everybody? Oh, Jason, Craig, everybody else who's watching, how you doing? Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. I am back. I took a day off yesterday. Felt weird for sure. It was a I don't know. I woke up, but I was like, I'm gonna go back to sleep. It felt awkward. Oh yeah, you like my new Hurley jacket, David? Yeah, it's pretty nice. I'm trying this thing out. Um, see how it fares on the walk. It feels nice and warm. It might be too warm actually, but yeah. Um, where was I? Oh, let me turn this music off. Um, yeah, so we were at Legoland. I just didn't feel like getting up, going downstairs, waking the family, any of those things. So we slept in. We slept in a little bit, got breakfast, went and did our thing, had a good day. Came home yesterday, and then our friends were throwing a little Super Bowl party, so we went to their house and just enjoyed that time. Had a good food, good good drinks, good company, all that stuff. Yeah, I hope everyone else's weekend was great. Uh, Craig is tired today. I'm sorry, Craig. Well, the good news for you is it's bedtime, right? So you can go to sleep. Um, yeah. So how's chat? Come on, talk to me a little bit. How's everyone else doing? Jason, what are you doing? David, what you doing? When am I going to see David? David, when are you going to come up here? Um, and come chat with me. Seem like someone I want to chat with anytime. Um, yeah, my weekend was good. Um, we had a great time at Legoland. There was a lot of instances where I maybe wasn't the best um, father person, but I get a little frustrated in places like that. Right? It can be very triggering to have uh, spent a lot of money to get there and do that and still have the kids at every store. And those theme parks, they do it, I don't know, almost feels like just to torture us. But every turn there's something else for you to buy, as if it didn't cost enough to get there as it is. And so that part just kind of frustrates me, that it's like we're here, we're at this cool place. Lots of people haven't been there, especially people in Australia don't have the opportunity to be in SoCal. And my kids are like, let's go buy this, let's go buy that. It's just, it was a lot for me. So there were some moments where I was pushed, and I needed to step away, or I needed to express myself in not the best way. Yeah. So, but overall we had a good time. Overall, we had a good time. And then it's going to be a quick, short week for me here at work, and then we're going on another vacation. So yeah, gratitude for a solid leg day. Cats are savage. You're on the wrong account for that, okay, sir? You're on the wrong account for that. This is the Motor Totem account. Um, oh, yeah, David, you wanted me to invite you up? You can come on up, dude. All right. I don't know how to do it, but invite to guests. Copy. Copy. I'll put this in here for anyone who wants to come in. I don't like talking alone. Come on. Come on. I know you can do it. Sorry for seeing my finger up close, chat. Um, but yeah, congrats. Flew back from catching up with. Oh yeah, Craig, how was your trip with Nath? Did he host you well? Sometimes I feel like, you know, maybe Nathan wouldn't host you I'm just kidding, dude. But I'm sure you guys had a great time, so that's awesome. Um, Super Bowl party, met a lot of great people, ate too much bad food. Yeah, dude, I think I came up to, I got pounds over the weekend from Legoland food and Super Bowl food. Good morning, Ryan, which is pretty
What's
awesome.
up, dude? Welcome back. I'm so sorry I'm late.
Oh, no worries, man. It's all right. I just made it, just barely on time. Drove in this morning and read really quick, and then started the room, 30 seconds late.
Ah, well, you're the best.
And then I was just hanging out with the chat and reading, and totes are motored. What's going on, guy? Jason, good morning.
Good morning.
How was your guys' weekend?
It was eventful. Me and Kristen, we got to go to a park. Whoa, flowy on one side. The lighting's all terrible in here. Me and Kristen got to go out on Saturday night to a party. Good adult time. Yeah, adults get weird when they have kids.
Yeah.
And they don't have their kids anymore. It was good. It was fun too. I'm really happy that we got that because it's like a little reminder on how much fun we can still have together, even though we know everything about each other. When
Nice.
when everybody's kind of looped up a little bit responsibly. It was
What's
good.
up, Craig?
Hey,
Morning, Craig.
hey, how's everyone doing?
Hey, buddy.
What
Ryan,
was
did
it
you get
that
another plant behind you?
I did? I've been trying to set up this like plant wall for a bit, so finally got some of it together, which is good. So it's all working.
Craig, I can feel the moisture, the humidity that you're in right now because of your ceiling fan.
Can you hear that?
No, I can feel it. I can
No,
literally feel the
I'm in
humidity.
Blake's chopper. I'm in Blaze's chopper. Yeah, turn it down a bit.
It's not too bad.
There you go.
It's been worse.
Number one.
What has been happening? I had a good weekend with Nathan on the other side of the country.
What did you guys
What's
do?
that biggest difference between both sides of the country? Is one a little bit different than the other? Because you're both in this. It's both coastal, right?
Yeah. So I'm West Coast, he's East Coast. So it's a 4.5-hour flight to get from here to there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was it was cool, really cool. It's the first time I've ever met him in real life, so it was
nice.
it was really cool to get over there and meet him. And we strolled through the city of Melbourne, people watching. It was so funny. Nathan found his new girlfriend. We're not sure if it's girlfriend or boyfriend, but he found her, him, her, it, shim, whatever you want to call it, and it was so funny. But yeah, but we ripped a few packs of Snowstorm and some Elf stickers, and didn't get time to open the full box. But I did that when I got home. But very disappointing box too, by the way.
So sorry.
I opened it, right? There's 52 cards. I got 3 cool foils, but I got 49 cards, all 49 cut off center. Look at that cut.
Oh man,
Look at
those aren't going to grade well.
Look how thin this side is here compared to that side.
Yep.
And all 49 of them are identical.
Yeah, they looked really bad.
They were terrible. So anyway, life goes on. But yeah, apart from that, we babysit my granddaughter on the Friday night while my son and his fiance went to the Luke Combs concert.
Oh, nice.
And
Awesome.
then we spent Saturday just strolling through Melbourne and had breakfast, had a coffee, had some lunch, and then it was a good couple of days.
That's awesome, Craig. What is it? What defines someone on the west coast of Australia versus the east coast of Australia?
We're hung. They're all like little. Nathan's sending me messages saying, "Stop telling stories." No, it's nothing. I mean, it's a colder climate, so the east coast is like snow and cold weather, even during summer. I mean, they get hot periods during summer, but whereas we, even in winter here, we still get kind of summer weather in winter on the west coast. And we are like Western Australia makes up like a third of the entire country, and then the other 7 states fit into 2/3.
Oh, I didn't realize that. Okay.
So yeah, and then he's sending me messages. But yeah, I mean, it's just different, and the city of Melbourne is like so much smaller, but their population is triple of our city. So there's 100,000 people walking through the city of Melbourne every minute of every day. So it was so busy. Whereas you go to the city of Perth, and you can hear a pin drop.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Well, I've never been. I definitely have to go sometime soon.
It's like New York. They call Melbourne. They call Australia's city that never sleeps.
Oh really? I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't realize how. I guess I didn't realize always how different it really was. Did you end up meeting Nate's kids or anybody?
No, just Nate.
Okay, got it.
Just Nate. He drove up. His wife and the kids had something to do, so he drove up on the Friday, stayed Friday night, and went home Saturday afternoon.
Okay.
He said, Nate just sent me a message saying Melbourne's the city that never sleeps because everyone's on meth.
Oh, goodness gracious.
Oh, God. No, but it was good. It was good to get away and not work and relax for, 4 or 5 days and just chill out.
How about you, Ryan? How was your weekend?
It was busy. We had some people over last night, and then handled business. There was a birthday party, kind of running around with the kids. Took care of things at home as Lauren kind of took care of that side of things for a little bit. So grocery shopping. We had snow over here, so a lot was happening. So yeah, but overall, it was a good weekend. I was happy.
Yesterday ended up being kind of a nothing day, even though it was kind of nice out. The family vibe was low key, as the kids say. So we didn't really feel bad not doing anything.
Is there?
Yeah,
for sure. I think I'm finding that there's like a lot of. I'm trying to kind of tie it back to the reading for a second, because about like independence and kids kind of going away and kind of coming back. I think I'm seeing more and more that my oldest needs to kind of be pushed a little bit to kind of like go away, but then also like let her come back. But then the youngest I'm like thinking this kid is going to like run away. She's going to run into like so many different kind of environments and then want to come back. And like, I don't know if she's going to be someone who is really tethered to us. And so yesterday over the weekend, it was like, she's going to these parties, doesn't want to leave, and she wants to keep experiencing the world. And so when I was like looking at some stuff today about all of this, I was thinking about her and maybe going to Australia, maybe like needing to accept her and like not knowing when I'm ever going to see her again sometimes. But is there anything that you guys kind of feel like is that you guys connected with this reading today?
I am not there yet. I'm not at the point where my girls are starting to kind of push off. Like I might imagine that Dom could probably talk a bit better on that with your oldest, maybe.
Yeah, I mean,
Or Craig.
I was gonna say I would push it on to Craig. I mean, he's got his have already left, right? What do you think, Craig?
Like mine, I think my daughter, she started to push from about 13. Not try to push out of the house or push like away from the family, but just push to the point where mum and dad were more of a burden to her than they were a help. You know what I mean? They didn't want you picking them up from school, didn't want you driving them to, or like if you drove them and dropped them off somewhere, you couldn't stay around. Definitely weren't allowed to tell them you loved them in front of their friends. Couldn't, definitely, no chance of a hug or a kiss in front of their friends or anything like that. And that started with my daughter from about 13. But at home, it was completely different, just when she was in public with her friends.
Did you ever have to like discipline her in front of her friends at all? Or are you guys thinking about how you might need to kind of set those boundaries and make sure that when they're kind of pushing back, that it's something that they kind of understand where you are as like a dad, as a parent? I guess just this balance, like discipline and this unconditional love we've kind of been talking about. Like when these kids make mistakes, and I don't think kids like going away from home is obviously a mistake, but it's like, is there something that we have to set those boundaries so that they feel they can definitely, they don't overstep too much freedom? I don't know if that's making sense, but I'm thinking of trying to figure out how to.
I think as long as they're aware that every action has a consequence, it's either positive or negative. Right? The result of their action. So if they do something that is a negative action, like shoplifting or, graffiti and get caught or whatever, then that has a negative consequence. But if they do something that is positive, then that'll have a positive consequence. So, and I never disciplined my kids in front of other people. I would pull them aside and say, if their behavior was out of line, and just say, behave a bit better, but I would never yell or scream or discipline them in front of anybody. That would always be done in private because we had boundaries. My kids knew how far they could go and how far they couldn't go. And if they crossed that line, they already knew that Dad was watching.
Yeah.
So, and it wasn't a controlling thing or a, like a, what would you call it? What's the opposite of diplomacy?
Anarchy?
Like dictatorship. It wasn't a dictatorship. Okay. They weren't told how to behave or what to do. They just knew that every behavior, negative and positive, has a consequence that's negative or positive. So, and we brought them up to understand, what was right and what was wrong.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you guys have consequences like do you? I don't think we ever punish as kids, but do you guys ever set a punishment or anything that would be defined as that without you using the word punishment?
No, we don't. Like when I think of punishment, I think back to when we were kids. Punishments were like, you can't go outside for a day or so, which now is like, I need you to go outside. So
that's the punishment. Go for a walk.
Sleep outside tonight. The most consequences we have right now is, which I don't know if I'm ashamed to admit or not, but is no screen time. Like we've taken the iPad away from our kids for like a week as a consequence for things which unfortunately seems to work.
There's no shame in that at all. No shame in taking. We used to take PlayStations because my kids didn't have phones, and there was no such thing as an iPad when my kids were growing up. So they'd lose Game Boys or PlayStations for a week. So no shame in that at all.
Yeah.
One thing we had, and this is a good idea, we had a lockbox at the end of each of our kids' beds. They had it's called a blanket box. So it's just a wooden box with you put your spare blankets and pillows in it. So as they got old enough, I put a padlock on each one of their blanket boxes. So whenever they did something wrong and they got punished and something taken away from them, it went in that blanket box, locked at the end of their bed, so they knew exactly where it was at all times, every time they walked past it. So it encouraged them. It encouraged them to, if you want it back, then you got to behave.
Craig, can I ask about that? Because I feel like the idea of the reprimand, the punishment, the discussion. I also love the whole, thought about how like these moments where like a punishment could come in, but it is a big moment of like connection with your kids too, because they're like learning about how you set boundaries, how you react to certain things. But then I think the biggest lesson here is kind of what the reading was kind of like keeping that door open, right? Like you saying, hey, it's not in there forever, but let's make sure that we kind of come to some sort of like resolution together on this. But like always letting them know that there is like that you're not shut off. Like it's not like, okay, you did this, love is done, you can never have this thing again. It's like, no, like you can come back. We just need to make sure that we like find some resolution. You might have to find it on your own, especially as they get older, right? Like, what did you learn from this? Talk about why you did it. Talk about why it might not happen again in the future. I do like the idea of a box at the end of the bed, though. I think it's like a constant reminder. Maybe I'm just a very out of sight, out of mind person, for better or worse. And I like the idea of having something in front of me as like a push.
Yeah, I think, and like because they know that it's right there at the end of the bed, they can physically touch it but they can't get into the box. So one of my boys did try to break into the box once. So
with the hammer and chisel.
Yeah, and a flat stone, according to Nathan. But yeah, it's just, and like as we've said many times when we've been on this stream together, is every kid's different, right? So, if you've got 3 kids like I had, the discipline for each one of them and the boundaries for each one of them are completely different to the others. Like you're not saying to one that they get more free reign or more freedom than the other, but they're just different people. They're different humans, and they don't handle that level of consequence as good as the next one. So you've got to find that happy medium with each one of your kids separately. Like my daughter was an absolute rebel, like an absolute pain in the ass. And I'll tell you this, and I'm not ashamed to admit it. She was brought home in a police car at least a dozen times during the age of 14 and 17.
Okay.
Just an absolute rebel, got mixed in with the wrong bunch of kids at school and, wanted to smoke cigarettes and wanted to be off, with these Darrow kids that we didn't want her to associate with. And the more we tried to stop her, the more she wanted to do it. But all of a sudden, come 17, I don't know, something triggered in her brain that this is not the life I want to live. I don't want to be in trouble all the time. I don't want to be. And, she's now 23, so the last 6 years, she's just become a completely different person. So, and it was nothing we did.
Craig, how would she respond to the statement? Like when she was, there's so much to unpack right there. With how would she have responded to in her craziest time, right? Let's say it was her 5th time being brought home, in the police car. So she's in the midst of, the dozen times you mentioned. But if you were to say this to her, you said, no matter what mistakes you make, I'm going to be here for you whenever you come back, right? Do you think that she would have taken advantage of that? Did she need to hear that? How do you think that really sank in with her?
She knew that anytime she got in trouble, that she only had to call Dad and he would come and get her or, sort out whatever the issue was but she also understood that there was a consequence that came with that. So if you get, picked up graffitiing walls in the city by the police and brought home, there's a consequence that comes with that, because that's a crime, that's illegal. So, the consequence for most of the time was that you take the phone, and then if they get, angry about losing, because my kids got their first phone when they were 13, when they went to high school and had to start catching a bus to school, getting public transport to school, so that they had a way to contact somebody. So, they would lose the phone. And then if that became an issue, you can keep your phone, but I'm not paying the bill at the end of the month, so it's going to get cut off. So it would just be those things. And you only have to have her phone cut off by the telco provider twice, and they quickly learn that you're not messing around.
Yeah.
So, she was a good kid. She just, made some stupid decisions for about 3.5 years that got her into some trouble. And she never got a criminal record, because she never did anything that warranted, being charged by the police or anything. It was just like, 16-year-old drunk in the city, and the police, the police in Australia are a little bit different, I think, to the US. And if they see kids underage drunk, they'll just put them in the police car and bring them home.
Oh wow. Yeah.
They don't just leave them on the streets to fend for themselves. They'll pick them up and
Well, I would say that. I mean, I feel like here in the U.S. they don't just like wave them up. Like, all right, good luck. I think it's more that there's more of a booking and an arrest. I mean, I don't know. I was so drunk one time. This is just part of my backstory, that I did get picked up because I was so drunk, but I wasn't brought to jail. I was brought to the hospital. So I know they'll take care of you, but there's a lot more that's involved in, I think, drinking underage, and then the repercussions from that. But again, my parents, I think, my mom came to really get me, help me, and my parents, definitely wasn't a lot of discussion around it, but I think it's one of those moments where it isn't my parents, but it could have been anybody, where if we're too strict or too strong on that message of like, I'm not going to accept you, like if you got brought home this way, you're going to fend for yourself now. My mind goes towards this, like, mistakes or lessons are not going to be life sentences, right? You make one mistake or 5 or 6, and then all of a sudden, do you as a parent say, hey, well, that's it. Like, unless you clean yourself up, you can't come back. I think that we need to be the father that they can always come back to, because if we shut that door, I mean, we don't know. Are they going to keep going down a road that's going to make life more difficult for them, or they're going to learn their lesson on their own? It's like, I want my kids to learn their lessons on their own, but then also know they can come to me to further that lesson. And now, kind of help that. I've seen,
totally
it's, oh man, it's like, I think about drug use and stuff like that. And I think on the outside, someone's like, you got to cut your kid off before. It's like, well, as a parent, it's hard to just cut your kid off and then not want to help them, right? So there is that balance, which I don't think there's an answer for it. I think it's more of you got to feel every kid out, just like you're saying with your 3 kids there.
Yeah, and one of the things Nathan just said in the chat was, it's parenting is based on experience. Most 90% of your parenting is situational parenting. You learn on the go. There's no 100% gospel handbook on parenting. There's no right or wrong. What's right for me could be wrong for, Jay, and what's right for him could be wrong for Dom. You just don't know. There's no right or wrong. So
totally,
it's just making sure you understand each of your kids and how, what their personality is, and, how they react to that consequence.
Yeah.
Case in point, I have my Junie is currently walking around, I'm assuming pretending to be sick. And if my oldest were to do that, I would be like, and I'm whispering because she's right over there. But if my oldest were to do this, like I would be like, "You're not sick. Just get dressed. It's Monday. I feel the same way." But with my middle, it's more like it's definitely more tied to like emotions and stress and anxiety, and it's totally different. And my patience with that is less. So I really have to like soften my initial reaction before I gently coax her to get dressed in the morning.
It sounds like a tag team situation with parents, though, right? It's like,
Yeah. Like,
it's like,
Kristen's
I don't have it today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One thing I was going to say about kids being kicked out is I have one friend in particular that I remember we turned like 18, 19, and he was like, "Yeah, my dad just cut me off." I'm like, "Why?" And he wasn't like a bad kid. Like he had a job. He was just like thrown out into the wild, which, I mean, that's not a bad age to do that, but it's like we were never cut off, you know? Like I think we were just kind of gently
Pushed out the door.
not even pushed out. Like I don't think our mom would have ever. I think our mom would have kept us at our house forever. I think it was more like they let us realize that, oh, yeah, you're kind of growing in this place, so maybe go and find your own place is a good idea right now.
I think it's also understanding now as a parent what I think parents are going through at the same time. Just like you're saying, you just might not have the ability at the moment to deal with something where you have to be so emotional, which is why single parenting and stuff, bless you.
Thank you.
I think some parents just don't have it, and that's okay. But that's, the kid's not going to understand that though. So I think as a parent, we have to be able to still find that balance. And man, not using the words I want to, but
there's also that fine line talking about exactly what you're saying there about being a friend to them or a father to them. There's a fine line there. You can't be both all the time.
mm-hmm.
You can't be one. So you can't be their friend all the time, because there's going to come a time where you have to be the father and you have to get that discipline and that consequence in place. And that's
mm-hmm.
a lot harder to do when it's more like a friendship than a parent-son relationship or parent-daughter
mm-hmm.
relationship, you know what I mean? So I always made sure that my kids knew that I was always there for them, but I'm not your friend. I'm not here to be your friend. The people at school you mess around with, they're your friends. I'm your dad.
Yeah.
You know?
Or even kind of what Nate's saying here too. Like, I do know some of the backstory of what Nate is talking about here, but he's saying that, his mom left when she was 16, but kids don't understand at that age, why she left really. It's like, you don't understand what the world is kind of going on, what's going on mentally with your mom, and she just wasn't able to handle it. I think as a kid, you're like, she just left, right? And Nate, I know you talked very heavily about loving your mom and what she did in later years. Or is that your wife's mom? Okay, I'm just trying to figure this out. Yeah, it's tough as a kid to take in. And I think as a parent, we have to realize that kids aren't going to know why you're doing certain things until they get older.
Yeah, like we divorced. Narelle and I divorced when Megan was 12. So that was like her whole world came crashing down on it at 12.
Mm-hmm.
Mum and dad were no longer together at 12. So, that plays a big impact on their mental psyche and how they want to behave. A lot of kids rebel. A lot of kids rebel over things like that. She definitely did.
Well, definitely good discussion. I think this could be brought into definitely a larger talk at some point. I think even with relationships, Jason, you should handle that one. That would be great. But top of the hour, I know I have to run. But anything else you guys have? Just last words?
Happy Monday, y'all. Start off strong.
Mugs and hearts. Mugs and hearts.
Mugs and hearts, hearts and mugs.
Coffee. Mugs and gratitude.
All right, guys. Have a good morning. We'll see you.
Man.